In 1953, an American archaeologist climbed a mountain in eastern Turkey, Theresa Goell. She was hearing impaired, and she had become obsessed. At the summit, 2,000-year-old giant statues stood, their heads severed, lying on the ground. And behind them all, a 50-meter-high artificial mound. She knew there was a tomb inside that mound. No one had ever reached it. For 30 years, she excavated. She used dynamite. She drilled boreholes. She looked under every stone. She found nothing. 2,000 years ago, a king built his tomb in such a way that anyone trying to enter would cause the entire system to collapse. Theresa Goell died in the mid-1980s. The tomb still hasn't been found. Today, in Adıyaman province, Turkey, at the summit of Mount Nemrut, one of the world's greatest unsolved archaeological mysteries stands. For 140 years, no one has been able to get inside. Today, are you ready to solve this trap built 2,000 years ago and the urban legend woven around it? The name Mount Nemrut comes from a legend, and this legend goes back 4,000 years, a name mentioned in the Bible and the Quran. Nemrut, in Western sources known as Nimrod. According to Holy Scriptures, Nemrut was a powerful king of Babylon, described as a mighty hunter. According to some sources, he was the tyrannical ruler who built the Tower of Babel. And Nemrut's most famous story, he threw the prophet Abraham into fire. According to legend, Nemrut had declared himself a god. Abraham opposed him and broke his idols. Nemrut became furious. He captured Abraham. He had a massive fire lit, and he threw Abraham into that fire. So how is this story connected to Mount Nemrut? According to local legend, Nemrut hunted in these mountains. Some accounts say he brought Abraham to this very mountain and threw him into the fire. Of course, this is legend. There's no archaeological evidence. But it explains the origin of the name. The word Nemrut in Turkish means joyless, unsmiling, bringing no happiness. It perfectly describes the cold, harsh, desolate nature of the mountain. For centuries, local people held special respect for this mountain. They considered it sacred. Some were afraid to approach it. And maybe they were right. Because thousands of years later, another king, another megalomaniac, would come to this mountain and declare himself a god. Two tyrants' spirits on the same mountain. Coincidence? Or is there really something about this mountain? Our story goes back to the 1st century BC. At that time, in southeastern Turkey, north of Syria, there was a small but wealthy kingdom, Commagene. Commagene was a very special place. Greek civilization to the west, the Persian Empire to the east, Armenia to the north, Mesopotamia to the south. The intersection of 4 cultures. And after Alexander's empire shattered, independent kingdoms were established in this region. Commagene was one of them. Founded in 163 BC, the kingdom of Commagene was located on the right bank of the Euphrates River. Its capital was Samosata, today's Samsat. It was a small kingdom, but extremely wealthy. It was on trade routes. It was a bridge between east and west. Its agricultural lands were fertile, and most importantly, its kings were very smart. They pursued a balance policy between Rome and the Parthians. Sometimes they moved closer to Rome, sometimes to the Parthians. But they maintained their independence. In 70 BC, Mithridates I died, and his son ascended the throne. His name? Antiochus I. Antiochus I wasn't just a king. He saw himself as a god, and he did everything to prove it. Antiochus's mother was a Greek princess from the Seleucid Empire. His father was from a Persian origin dynasty, the Orontid dynasty. So Antiochus was descended from both west and east. And he made this the foundation of his kingdom. He merged Greek gods with Persian gods. He equated Zeus with Ahura Mazda. He combined Apollo with Mithras. He united Heracles with the Persian war god Artanius in a single statue. This religious syncretism was called Commagene religion, and Antiochus placed himself alongside these gods. In some inscriptions, he used the title Theos, meaning God. He wanted immortality, and he made a plan for it. In 62 BC, he chose the highest peak of his kingdom, Mount Nemrut, 2,150 meters high, and he began building a monument there. Not a tomb, a hierothesion, a combination of house of the gods and tomb. Antiochus's order was clear. Bury me alongside the gods, in such a high place that everyone can see, and such a solid structure that no one can destroy. His engineers got to work. The summit of Mount Nemrut is 2,150 meters high. Cold, windy, difficult to reach. But that's exactly what Antiochus wanted. First, they built 3 terraces at the summit: east, west, and north. They erected giant statues on the east and west terraces, each 8 to 10 meters high, in a seated position, carved from stone. There were 5 statues on each terrace. 1, Zeus Oromasdes, the fusion of Greek and Persian supreme gods. 2, Apollo, Mithras, Helios, Hermes, 4 gods in one statue. 3, Artanius, Heracles, Ares, gods of power. 4, Commagene, the kingdom's protective goddess. 5, and Antiochus I himself, sitting among the gods. Each statue weighed approximately 6 tons. How were they transported? How were they erected? Unknown. But Antiochus's true genius wasn't the statues. His real genius was the mound behind the terraces. An artificial mound, originally 60 meters high, eroded over time, today approximately 50 meters. 150 meters in diameter, a pile entirely made of crushed stones. Millions of stones, broken by hand, carried by hand, placed by hand. And right in the center of this mound, Antiochus's tomb. But how do you reach it? No one knew. Because Antiochus had given his engineers a special order. Build my tomb so that no one can ever enter. Antiochus died in 34 BC. Some sources say the Parthians killed him. Others say natural death. But in any case, he was buried on Mount Nemrut as he had planned. His kingdom survived a bit longer, but by the end of the 1st century AD, the Roman Empire permanently occupied Commagene. The kingdom vanished, and Mount Nemrut was forgotten. The priests were gone. The ceremonies had stopped. No one came anymore. Wind eroded the statues. Earthquakes cracked them. Over time, heads broke off, fell to the ground. Local shepherds sometimes climbed to that summit. When they saw the giant stone heads, they were frightened. "This place is cursed," they said. "Jinn live here. Strange sounds come at night." No one stayed there. For approximately 2,000 years, Mount Nemrut stood there, forgotten, abandoned, until 1881. In 1881, a German engineer was working in Turkey, Karl Sester. He was building roads for the Ottoman Empire in the Adıyaman region. One day, a local guide told him something. There are strange stones at the mountain's summit, giant heads. Karl was curious. He climbed to the summit, and he couldn't believe what he saw. Giant statues, heads severed, lying on the ground. Behind them, a massive mound. Artificial, man-made. Karl wrote his report. This must be a royal tomb, an unprecedented structure. The report reached Germany. The archaeology world got excited. But at that time, excavating in Ottoman lands was difficult. World War I began. Then the War of Independence. Mount Nemrut was forgotten again. Until 1947. In 1947, an American archaeologist came to Mount Nemrut. Theresa Goell, from Princeton University, a hearing-impaired woman. When she saw Nemrut, she was mesmerized. "I will find this tomb," she said, and she dedicated the rest of her life to it. For 30 years, she excavated at Mount Nemrut. She came every summer, sometimes alone, sometimes with a team. In the first excavations, she cleared the east and west terraces. She cataloged the statues. She read the inscriptions. She learned who Antiochus was. But her real target was the tomb, that giant mound behind the terraces. Theresa examined every stone. She was looking for an entrance. There had to be a tunnel. There had to be a door. She found nothing. So she brought drilling machines. She drilled holes into the mound. Empty. Just broken stones. She used dynamite. She blasted some rocks. The traces of those explosions can still be seen today. Still, she found nothing. Theresa had a saying, "I won't leave a single stone in place." She really did that. She looked under every stone, but the tomb never appeared. In the mid-1980s, Theresa Goell died. She had devoted 30 years of her life to Nemrut. She hadn't found the tomb. Today, archaeologists tell Theresa's story like a legend. The woman obsessed with Nemrut. She never found the tomb, but no one tried as hard as she did. So is the tomb really there? Or is this giant mound just a decoy? Modern archaeologists believe in two main theories. Theory 1. The tomb is inside the mound, but unreachable. Antiochus's engineers built a very clever system. The mound is entirely made of crushed stones, millions of pieces. And it's arranged so that when you open the path to the burial chamber, the entire system collapses. Millions of stones fall on you. Modern archaeologists call this a passive defense system, like the traps in Indiana Jones movies. But this is real. 2,000 years ago, Antiochus thought, grave robbers will come. How do I stop them? And he built a perfect trap. Theory 2. The tomb is under the mound. Some archaeologists think maybe the tomb isn't inside the mound. Maybe it's carved into the mountain itself, beneath the mound. Because Commagene kings had done this before. The Mithridates tomb in Arsamea is like this, carved into the mountain. The Karakush tumulus is the same. Maybe Antiochus used the same method. The mound is just to distract. The real tomb is inside the mountain. But if so, where's the entrance? No one knows. In the 2000s, technology advanced. Archaeologists could now see inside without digging. First, they used ground-penetrating radar, GPR. They scanned the mound. The results were strange. The mound was indeed made of broken stones. There was no regular structure. But the radar's depth was limited to 10 to 15 meters. The mound is 50 meters deep. Not enough. Then seismic scans were conducted. Earthquake waves were sent. Reflections were measured. Again, unclear results. The broken stones hid everything. In 2001, a team from Germany arrived. They conducted electromagnetic scans. They detected some anomalies beneath the mound. There might be a void here, but they weren't sure. In 2015, LiDAR technology was used. Laser scans. They modeled the mound's exterior in 3D, but they couldn't see inside. Every technology reaches the same conclusion. The tomb is probably there, but it's unreachable. For centuries, Mount Nemrut has held a special place among local people. Some consider it sacred. The mountain of the gods, they say. Others think it's cursed. Don't go there, they say. Evil spirits live there. According to what local shepherds tell, people who climb to the summit at night hear strange sounds. The stone heads sometimes glow. The wind blows in strange ways. Of course, these are legends. But there's one truth. Mount Nemrut is truly an eerie place. 2,150 meters high. Very strong wind. Temperature drops below freezing at night. And those giant stone heads, they turn golden at sunrise and sunset. They look almost alive. Maybe it's normal for the locals to be afraid, but there's another legend. If the tomb is opened, a curse will be unleashed. Antiochus will take revenge. What's interesting, for 140 years, the tomb hasn't been found. Maybe this is Antiochus's curse. Maybe the real trap isn't physical, it's psychological. People are so afraid, they don't even search. So if the tomb is found, what's inside? Archaeologists make some predictions. 1. Antiochus's mummy, a fusion of Greek and Persian traditions. Maybe mummified, maybe cremated. 2. Gold and precious stones. Antiochus was a wealthy king. He may have placed magnificent objects in his tomb. 3. Religious objects. Special items belonging to his syncretic religion. God statues, sacred texts. 4. Family tombs. Maybe not just Antiochus, his family too. 5. Inscriptions. Texts describing Antiochus's life and thoughts. But the biggest question, is the tomb still intact? Or did grave robbers enter 2,000 years ago? If they did, how did they get in? And why didn't they leave any trace? In 1987, Mount Nemrut was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List. The official description: one of the most ambitious constructions of the Hellenistic period, a perfect example of religious syncretism. Today, Mount Nemrut is one of Turkey's most important tourist sites. Thousands of tourists come every year, especially to watch the sunrise and sunset. At sunrise, the statues on the east terrace turn golden. At sunset, those on the west terrace. A magnificent view. But tourists don't know this. Beneath their feet, 50 meters deep, lies a 2,000-year-old tomb, and no one has reached it. Antiochus's plan worked. He wanted immortality. Today, 2,000 years later, we're still talking about him. Maybe he really did become immortal. Mount Nemrut is one of the world's greatest archaeological mysteries. The tomb is there. We know this. But how do we reach it? Modern archaeologists are still looking for solutions. Some say, let's slowly remove the entire mound. But that's impossible. 50 meters high, millions of stones. UNESCO won't allow it. Some say, let's send in robots. But where? There's no entrance. Some say, let's dig a tunnel from underneath the mound. But where do you dig? Where exactly is the tomb? Maybe Antiochus calculated this too. You can find me, but you can't reach me. And for 2,000 years, he's been proven right. Theresa Goell struggled for 30 years. She didn't find it. For 140 years, archaeologists worldwide have been working. They can't reach it. Maybe they never will. Maybe this is Antiochus's true victory. Not a physical trap, a psychological triumph. You wanted immortality? Here it is. You can see me, but you can't touch me. Have you heard this legend before? Share your thoughts in the comments. And, under the urban legends, let's uncover the immortal legends of the mortal world together. If you believe this urban legend deserves to be heard more, don't forget to like and share. Every legend gives us a chance to meet the soul of the city where it resides. A new urban legend is coming soon. Until then, keep your heart open. Don't dismiss the ground you walk on. And remember, sometimes the greatest legends can be right beside you. Mortal world, immortal legends.